Wake your ass up
or take a damn nap.
And we're the three best friends that anybody could have.
It's time.
Sean, you were twerking. That's going to happen.
Murph, don't be a dick all your life.
It's one of the more fun podcasts I've ever done.
Hey, I tell you what, if you're not talking about sports in the man cave, I bet not say you not a bed.
That's it.
Hey, episode 194. I made two new friends.
Yeah.
We call them the Lone Star _CFB boys. They're in East Texas. We've got Christian on the bottom, who's in Palestine, Texas.
Yes, sir.
The home of Adrian Peterson.
I've met him.
Yeah,
I've met him.
He's the firmest handshake ever. I mean,
this isn't fair. I'm the only one that hasn't met him. Come on.
Hey, you know what? I got to meet him, and my favorite. I'm really glad I got to. We did. They used to have an annual Adrian Peterson Day at Dogwood Park here in Palestine, and I got to ask him a question. And I was probably like 11, and I asked him. I said, "Why didn't you go to Texas?" And he said he wanted to go to Texas, and the only reason he didn't is because they were going to redshirt him. So we missed out on a pretty important running back for some years
at Texas.
Is what it is.
That is. And then we got Logan, who is in the Rose City, home of Earl Campbell, and a host of other great ones. He's a Baylor guy. And so we've kind of connected on. And first off, I want everybody watching and listening to go to Tik Tok. Look for that handle right there, Lone Star, one word, _CFB. Follow them. Some really good college football content. They do a really good job of editing and putting together some teases, some previews, whatnot. It's pretty engaging. That's how Christian and I kind of met and led us to this. Create an episode, and we're going to reverse it. And I'll hope I don't hurt their ratings on their platform. But guys, you know how this thing works. Usually, we do this for love, passion, whatnot. But I got to give a shout out to a sponsor who helps this happen, the Stories Inside the Man Cave. And they have a presence right there in Tyler, Hargrove Roofing, based out of Shreveport. They're in the Rose City. They're in Dallas. They're here in Austin and in Houston. I hope I'm not missing a city. But the folks in Tyler, here's their slogan. Know who's on your roof. Now think about that for a second. You can hire any roofer and you really don't know much about them. But when you have some good old boys from Louisiana and East Texas and who have ties to LSU and the love for UT football, they may have love for Baylor. I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet, Logan, but that's shout out to Hargrove Roofing. Just know who's on your roof. Look for them online. And if you need roofing done, let the Hargrove boys take care of you. Gentlemen, first off, I'm excited about this, like a new partnership, a new marriage, if you will, and for partnerships. And let's start with, we got two topics. We're going to do the two biggest rivals in the state of Texas who don't play in football right now, but soon will.
Yes, sir.
What is going on with the Aggies here at midseason? I don't even know what's true, the locker room rumors, whatnot.
Yeah, Logan, why don't you open us up with this?
Man, I really don't know what's going on with Texas A&M. They came out slow against Sam Houston, only winning by 31. Ooh, what's my computer doing? But I do want to go ahead and say that I did call Appalachian State beating them. I don't know why.
He did. I was there. I
don't know why, but I just had a feeling that App State
because App State almost. It's because App State almost beat UNC the week before. Yeah. That's why you did it.
Yeah, that's what it was. And it might have been a little bit A&M hate thrown in there, but
always.
A&M's came out. They proved me wrong on our log spot that we do on our channel.
Mm-hmm.
Proved me wrong past couple weeks. Miami, Arkansas. I don't think I chose. Yeah, I picked against them against Alabama as well. They've started to prove me wrong. Like the games that they've lost doesn't look terrible except for that Mississippi State game.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
That one wasn't pretty. But Jimbo's got a lot of stuff that he needs to get in line until those fans start knocking on the boosters' doors and telling them to kick them out.
Start. They've already been doing
That's
it.
true. They've been doing that for a little while.
When you and here's the thing is I think sometimes people look at Texas A&M and they just want to compare them to Texas, and Texas has had a pretty rough 10 to 12 years, and so it kind of makes Texas A&M look really good. And then they recruited great last year, but if you really just take a step back and look back the last decade, what are they? They're an 8-4 middle of the SEC team, and this year, honestly. Because I picked Miami and Arkansas to win those games. If I had to repick it, if those games had to be played again, I'd pick it again. Like, I don't really think they won because they're the better team. I think they won because they were at home for those two games.
Yeah.
Jimbo has locker room problems. As a Longhorn fan, I can tell you that is one of the quickest ways to derail what you think. If you think you've got something good going on, y'all check out Bo Davis, our D-line coach from last year after we lost to Iowa State. Yeah. You got to address that. I will say, him suspending those players is good, but I kind of look back and think about Anaya Smith in the offseason. Gets pulled over. He's drinking. Then he was driving, and he had a weapon in the car. And never got the charges get dropped, never got suspended. And that kind of tells you when a Jai Hall takes a boot off his car and gets suspended, but this guy's drinking and driving with a gun and nothing happens. I think that's the beginning of these players thought they could get away with it. They were from what I've heard, they were smoking weed in an away team's locker room. They weren't even at home. And so it's gonna be interesting to see what he does. His offense is terrible. But before we get into that, Sean, what are your first thoughts on A&M so far?
Well, to be honest, if you look at the roster makeup before the year started, I mean, they had obviously a great, the perhaps one of the best recruiting classes in the history of recruiting, as far as star rating. And I think we all know how star ratings go. Some plateau out, some are a little overrated. Are they talented? 100%. A&M has a ton of talent there, but just because you have talent, we all know that's where coaching happens. Coaching develops, coaching organizes, coaching creates a culture, and coaching creates an expectation or next man up. In this day and age with NIL and the portal, I have no problem with the NIL and portal. I think both of them need to be present, 100%. But with Haynes King, he went through, I believe, injuries last year, and the backup who
Zach
came in to beat Alabama. Yeah, he did a great job. He transferred out.
Yeah, he ended up transferring to LSU, I believe.
And if you look at the roster, even in the spring, you saw some holes because I don't care how talented you are. You're going to rely on a number of freshmen. Mistakes are bound to happen. And I just think that this was going to be a rebuilding year. I didn't think right now 3-4. I thought they would be another 8-win team, period. And right now, I'm going to pick them. I picked them to beat Ole Miss. They're going to find a way.
Really?
I think Kyle Field.
We did not pick them.
Yeah, neither one of us
did you pick that game?
Yeah,
we both picked Ole Miss. And I will say them being at home is what worries me about that pick because they play well at home. Because, I mean, Kyle Field, they'll get 107,000 people packed in them seats. It'll be loud. But looking at this recruiting class, and a lot of it makes sense. Like their defensive recruiting from last year makes sense because their defense was stout.
Right.
And off the top of my head, can either one of y'all remember their defensive coordinator from last year? He's the head coach for Duke now.
Oh, yeah.
Their one now is DJ Durkin, but I cannot remember.
A friend of mine is friends with him when they
Yeah.
had so the former defensive coordinator, his son plays hockey.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
It's in
Well,
club hockey.
they lost their defensive coordinator, and so that I think that's part of why their defense is still actually really good because they still have the talent,
Yeah.
but they're not as good. But I was amazed that they were able to pull in Evan Stewart, who came down between him and Texas, and coming off Xavier Worthy's true freshman season versus A&M, which I have their receiving stats from last year. Their number one receiver was a tight end with 515 yards. I don't know why he would choose to go there. And when you look at the quarterback this year, you start to there's actually a correlation in Jimbo Fisher and offense.
Yeah,
he's bad at it every year. Honestly, what could fix A&M's problem is if the boosters would tell Jimbo, hire an offensive coordinator, we're going to fire you.
Write a check.
And that
Do
might
whatever you got to do.
That might do it. Like he's just not people say, oh, well, Florida State. No, he had Jameis Winston. He has a quarterback that's still in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's not, he's really not that great of a coach. A lot of people, and I'm friends with a bunch of Aggies, and it's really, I mean, it's a cult, if you will. And so they're ride or die. I can't say much bad about them. But ultimately, they want to be a run-first offense this year, and they've had some issues doing so, and Haynes King is not – he's just not putting it together. There was reports now that Connor Wagner is going to be starting this Saturday. So that actually makes me feel better about my Ole Miss pick.
Oh, wow.
But
so this is why I feel I'm not going to say confident. I'd say I'm 60% sure that they'll beat Ole Miss because in times of in adversity and trouble, you're either going to come together. You're going to figure out a lot about what A&M has. You're going to see guys either play up or this program's going to just continue crumbling.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with they're going to rally together and pick up. Now, just because it's to say they do beat Ole Miss, it doesn't mean their season's saved. It means you prove that it's saving some criticism of Jimbo and his staff. All right. I still think they're a 6 or 7 win team, period. They got UMass on the schedule.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they can win this game, I mean, they get back-to-backs at home against Ole Miss and Florida. They travel, but they're traveling to Auburn, who's 3-4 also, and they may not win another game. And then they come back home for UMass, and then they are at home with LSU.
Ooh.
I think this is a must. If they want a better than 6-6 season, this is a have to win because Florida, Auburn, and UMass are winnable. In a way, Florida is a losable game.
So is LSU.
Auburn played LSU is very much a losable game. I'm trying to remember. Auburn played Ole Miss and played them pretty well. They lost 48-34. But yeah, Auburn's not very good. Like they need to win this game to save their season from spiraling.
Yeah. I'll say that they are very lucky to not have to go to the swamp and play the Gators down in Florida. That's one thing that will help them in that game.
It's
and they don't have to go to Death Valley and play LSU.
True. I don't know.
So
I don't know how I feel like the rest of their season is going to shape up. I think they'll have at least one more win with UMass, but that Auburn game in Auburn is difficult. Florida's going to be a difficult team. We've seen them this year have games to where they've came out and beat ranked opponents and then turn around and lose to teams that they have no business losing to.
Correct.
There's just things like that to where I don't know if A&M will make a bowl game. They certainly can, but it's just if they don't win this one and then follow up with another home win against Florida, it could be tough sledding.
Yeah, I agree. So here's I think their goal right now, find a way to get 3 wins. And I think in a way that will be success in the face of true adversity, because there's going to be guys entering the portal. We know that. Every program is going to have guys entering the portal every year. But I think if they get to 6-6, you're going to limit the number of guys. I mean, so here's what's amusing to me. Now, I can't say much. I'll just go and say I follow the Longhorns. I've been a lifelong fan, but I've also covered them from a media point of view. Okay, so I'm still in that objective mindset where, okay, let's not get too excited. Let's call it like it is. And I've seen the inner workings of OU, OSU, and Texas programs. Okay. Mm-hmm. But here's what's amusing. If A&M, obviously the COVID year, they had a great year. Last year was a pretty good year with that win at Alabama.
Yeah.
There's A&M should be a winning program, meaning 9+ wins a year. Texas, we'll get to them in a minute. But when you compare, they wanted to boot out Kevin Sumlin. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And the most asinine contract I've ever seen in my life, 10 years guaranteed. I know what I had this debate with Aggie friends, and I know you guys did too. They wanted to bring stability and commit 10 years to a guy who's won a national title. But right now, as we're recording this, Sumlin's record of through his first 55 games, 39-16. Jimbo Fisher, 37-18, which isn't awful.
Yeah.
But come on, where's the improvement?
They both had one win over Bama.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Sumlin was there when Johnny Manziel beat Bama. Real quick, touching on last season, because you said that they had a good season last year. Hear me out, okay? Did they go 8-4 last year?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they went 8-4. Well, they went 8-4 with a win at Bama.
Yeah.
Like the game that everybody would have guessed they lost, they won. And so really, realistically, they probably were a 7-5 team. And even then, I always have to take off some points when you play an FCS opponent. Yeah, the SEC schedule is tougher than other conferences' conference schedule, but FCS, man, come on. But yeah, they fired Kevin Sumlin, and that was probably good. Like you probably should have fired Kevin Sumlin. And hiring Jimbo Fisher is not a bad
at the time. Yeah,
but it's probably not a bad hire now if you were paying him half the money. For half the money, he's doing fine. I mean, recruiting well, still beat Bama last year. You know, he's got a couple wins over ranked opponents this year.
Yeah.
But when you take it all together and you look at his offensive efficiency, like we were talking about it a minute ago, you don't pay that much for a coach who claims to be able to do it all to go out there and be in the bottom third of total offense.
Right.
Like they're not as bad as Iowa on offense. They're pretty bad.
That's why watching honey molasses pour out of a bottle.
I saw a stat today and it said I think it was like ESPN FPI, which I couldn't tell you what that stands for, but it said that it basically Football Power Index. It said basically Iowa would actually be doing better statistically if they punt the ball every time they get to like a third down or something. Like if they just punt the ball, they're statistically would be a better football team than they are right now.
That's funny. I got to tell you, you mentioned a couple of wins over ranked teams for Jimbo.
The
same stat through 55 games. Someone was 10-11 versus ranked teams, and Jimbo 9-11.
He's going to be 9-12 after they lose to Ole Miss.
But he is 22-15 against the SEC.
Yeah, and that's where he's gonna get his props. I mean, because I have to be honest, as you know, as a fan of a team in the Big 12, the SEC is definitely a power conference. Like they're strong.
Number one.
The bottom of the SEC, Vanderbilt could probably compete with at least the bottom 3 or 4 teams of the Big 12. Well, maybe not this year.
You told that to Ole Miss last year in the bowl game.
Oh my goodness! Oh my gosh. Logan, what are your thoughts, man? This is honestly, it's fun as a Longhorn fan to get to have. I mean, we went 5-7 last year. If I'm being honest, I don't want A&M to win another game. So
Logan, go ahead, Logan. I'm sorry.
Man, I don't have any ties against A&M. Like I wasn't alive whenever they were in the same conference as Baylor. They're not always comparing themselves to us like they do Texas all the time. I just think it's fun.
Yeah.
Like Christian, us doing this has turned me into Texas being my secondary team to watch. But A&M, that's just one that I've never really liked. And I think that might have been people that I knew that did like A&M. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. I don't think Jimbo Fisher is good for him. I don't think he's bad either. I think the fans just saw that number 1 recruiting class last year, and they're just like, okay, go do something. Please.
It's not going to happen. I mean,
No,
it takes.
The question is, who would be a good replacement, though? Like, what coaches are about to be? I don't think they'll fire Jimbo. It costs too much money. But if they did, like, who? There's really nobody. Like, if you had asked this question 2 years ago, Matt Campbell might have been a really good option. But Iowa State, he missed his opportunity. He should have
if you had asked it 2 years ago, somebody would have said Dave Aranda, and I would not like that person.
Yeah, because he was the defensive coordinator for LSU at the time. And Dave Aranda, Logan won't like it now, but Dave Aranda might be a good option. I mean, when you go to Baylor and he actually, me and Logan have talked about this. You mentioned it earlier, Sean. Being able to take that talent is, being a 5-star player only gets you so far. You have to have a coach that can do something with it. And in my opinion, Dave Aranda is one of the best in the country at taking the lower, 3 or high 3, low 4 stars and elevating that skill set and developing them. Also, though, I would have said the same thing about Matt Campbell a couple of years ago, and maybe he'll get there again. But I just don't see any coaches in the industry right now. Maybe Matt Rule, if he wants to come back to college football.
Yeah.
Now that if he wants to make a comeback. But even then, is A&M going to do what Texas did and hire somebody like Charlie Strong or Tom Herman who don't really have the head coaching pedigree? Like Matt Rule had a couple good years at Baylor. No, he had one good year. He had one terrible year.
He was only there for 2 years.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't think they'll fire him anytime soon, just out of pure, what's the better option?
Yeah,
hire an offensive coordinator.
I can't think of one at the moment, unless they find somebody like TCU did with Sonny Dykes coming out of SMU in first year. He's undefeated.
I'd have never guessed.
I honestly believe Joey McGuire at some point will be a guy. The thing is,
probably.
Let's face reality right here, and this is just my humble opinion.
Yeah.
The 2 flagship schools of the great state of Texas who claim to have the best football, and I still, it's the best high school football. People in Ohio, Florida, California, Arizona will argue that. But there are so many Division I programs in this state. I'll tell you, Coach, before I get to – I'm sorry, ADHD's caught up with me.
You're all good.
The guy in San Antonio right now, Jeff Traylor.
Good.
If anybody gives him a chance – I mean, they've committed, I think, 10 years to him. He's a great guy. He's from Gilmer, Texas.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think he's from Big Sandy.
Originally, yep. And he coached at Big Sandy. That's right. His first coaching opportunity from when he left SFA, graduated. The guy will kill it. and he's doing things right now. He knows how to work politic. He knows how to be a salesman. The thing
Is he an offensive-minded coach?
He's offensive minded, but he knows a little bit about. He knows offense.
I mean, look at
hire him as your offensive coordinator, and then he can replace Jimbo in a couple of years when they can't. That's what I'm saying. They should just hire him as they got to get an OC.
Texas and A&M have been in this rut. It hadn't just, except A&M hasn't gone the route that Texas has done, and that's the losing seasons. Let's go back here. 10, 14, 15, 16 losing seasons in this century.
21.
And 21. Here's another one for you. Since 1980, I don't
like this anymore.
No. Since 1980, Texas has had 26 4+ loss seasons.
I love how you did that on top of your head.
It's something that's it's almost it's just I can't. I'm having trouble to this day. I did this research last year.
Yeah.
How is it possible for a blue blood? And I'm a Texas fan.
Yeah.
And grew up with it. And to have that many mediocre seasons.
Nebraska.
Have you seen Notre Dame?
Overrated.
Notre Dame.
Thank you.
Hey, I agree with you now, Logan. Listen. Have you actually seen how they do the blue blood rating? Like there's a scale, and it's like
we've talked about
national titles will have a multiplier. Heisman winners will have a multiplier. Weeks ranked number 1, top 3, top 5. Conference champ, like all of it has a different multiplier, and then they see which teams have that many, multiply, and that's Texas is in the top 8. If you multiply everything as a whole category, for all the major accomplishments in college football, we do rank. I think we're actually ranked out of the 8, we're number 7. I think Nebraska is the only team below us. So that's how they do that. But yeah, no, I agree. A question of mine is when do you lose blue blood status? I'm kind of like, why haven't we lost it yet? But
I mean, Texas A&M's up there in the top 20. There's no doubt.
Yeah, but we don't rank 20 blue blood. There's 8.
There's just 8. The thing is, both the 2 flagship schools, think about that. The 2 flagship schools in this state are struggling to become nationally relevant every year.
You want to know what I think? And there's actually a statistic on this. There's only been Texas. So when A&M was with the Big 12, there's only been 2 seasons, and I can't quite remember the first one, but there's only been 2 seasons since we started doing like high school recruiting that Texas A&M and Oklahoma were all in the top 10 for recruiting, and one of them was last year.
Yeah.
And so I think what we're seeing, it's hard for both of those programs to be elevated at the same time because either Texas is getting the in-state guys or A&M's getting the in-state guys.
Right.
A&M made the move to the SEC. Right. And A&M made the move to the SEC. They got their SEC recruiting bump because, let's just face it, kids want to play there. They want to play against Bama, Georgia, Tennessee, the Gators. Then they're getting drafted at a higher level out of the SEC. And so, honestly, what I think a part of Texas's downfall is A&M moving to the SEC because at that point they started stealing. I say stealing. They deserve it. They recruit well. They started taking some recruits that Texas might have gotten, and that just makes it harder when you're already down. Mac Brown has a couple back-to-back years. I think we gave up on Mac Brown a little too early. You bring in Charlie Strong, who's did great with Louisville, but it was Louisville. And A&M's able to go recruit well, play well enough. I thought A&M would stay at the bottom of the SEC a little bit longer than they did. Well, they didn't really ever stay at the bottom, but I thought that they would. I thought they'd have some more tough 4 and 5 win seasons before they started consistently getting those 7, 8, and even I think they've sprinkled in a couple 9 win seasons since their time. So recruiting is the thing. And what we're going to learn about A&M this year is one big thing that we learned about Texas last year, which surprised the heck out of me. I'm 24 years old, which means when Texas won a national championship, I was 7. And the last time they played for one, I was like 12. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't remember watching. I was 7. I didn't watch the one we won against USC. I've seen it. We have it on DVD. I've seen it, but I didn't watch it. I did watch us lose to Bama. I vividly remember that game. Yeah. And so I'm 24. So when you're recruiting 16, 17, 18-year-old guys, they don't remember that at all.
No, they don't.
And so after our 5-7 season, I was like, our recruiting's tanking. What we proved is that we are still the flagship school in Texas. And as bad as it may sound, and as well as it really hasn't worked for us yet, that logo right there is enough. It'll do it.
Yeah. It'll always be
about to find out.
Right.
We're about to find out if A&M's logo is good enough for them. If they have a bad season like I kind of feel they're about to have, they're number 17 in recruiting right now. Texas is number 5. We're going to find out. Is Anthony Hill going to stay? Is DJ Hicks, I think his name is DJ Hicks, is he going to stay? Like, are these guys committed? Is Evan Stewart going to transfer out? Because him and Jonte Cook are pretty close. Evan Stewart, come catch the ball from Quinn for a year and then catch the ball from Arch Manning for a couple years. We went 5-7 and pulled Arch Manning from Georgia and Bama. I mean, that's what we're going to learn. It's going to be fun to watch. As a football fan, as much as I want to let my my bias towards A&M get in the way, it is fun. I enjoy watching the recruiting shake out and where kids decide to go, getting to watch their high school tape, get them in college for 3 to 4 years, and then draft them to my fantasy team so I can lose every single week in fantasy football.
No, you can't say that. You're probably first in our league. I am dead last. Don't say that.
Yeah.
Let's change topics now to the second and final topic. The thoughts on Sark's first 20 games at Texas. He's 10-10.
I might not need my notes on this one.
Yeah, Logan, I'm going to let you talk first because I fear that, like I do sometimes, if I start talking, I might not stop when it comes to Texas because I'm rattled. Y'all go first. Y'all take this.
Go ahead, Logan.
We talked this all day, so I'm sure I'm going to be able to hear the same notes all over again.
Yeah, probably.
Man, last season 5-7. Y'all have great rosters, but last year y'all also had a whole lot of locker room problems that we've talked about, and I've told you about that. I saw all last season on Snapchat of certain players' Snapchat stories. There was a lot of problems going on internally at that program last year. I think this year y'all are doing a lot better. Like you said about Jonte Cook, Jai Hall. Yeah, Jai Hall, about the boot and stuff. There's certain things that are like, come on. But, I mean, y'all are playing good without him. Like, y'all are having a good season. I think the games that y'all lost, Tech, Alabama, y'all should have won. Oklahoma State had 0 penalties against y'all. If y'all had Quinn against Alabama, y'all would have won that game.
I think so.
I know you agree. But
I think we're going to beat Tech, too.
That's one of those things with Tech where it's in Lubbock that I'm scared for Saturday. It's in Lubbock, throwing tortillas everywhere. It's once they get going, Tech's hard to stop. I don't know. I really still don't understand how Oklahoma State didn't have any penalties against y'all. I think y'all are.
Oh, they had them.
Y'all are right under my expectations for this year. The one I think I had y'all losing 2 games. I had them losing to Bama and Texas and Baylor, not Texas. Bama and Baylor. That was probably just me having my green glasses on. But I was trying to give y'all the benefit of the doubt on the rest of these games.
So Logan is the first guy that I've ever met in my life who didn't go to Baylor. The first Baylor fan that I know now who really didn't go to Baylor. You see a bunch of A&M and Texas fans who didn't go to either school.
Yep.
All of and that's fine. But congrats, Logan. You're the first Baylor fan I know that didn't go to Baylor. I respect that more than you know.
Well, hey,
I've
you know
been
what?
with them for probably the past 8 years of my life. Around like 2000. No, probably last 10. It's been since about 2012.
It's a good time.
Yeah, he's even younger than I am. Can you believe it?
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
I'll say this. Tom Herman did not do an awful job at Texas. They played tough. They just couldn't finish some games. And that's carrying over, has carried over, but it's not. I don't understand it. But I will say this. When you replace nearly half the roster, as they did, almost half, I'd say a little more than a third, and you have Quinn, who is shown what he's capable of. There are some really good coaches in the Big 12. They're finding out how to pressure him and put him in really uncomfortable situations. He was not comfortable at all against Oklahoma State. Texas Tech, the defense was on the field for 100 plays. They couldn't – the third down conversions were ridiculous.
The fourth down conversions were ridiculous.
The fourth down.
Fourth down.
Goodness gracious.
And look at
I've never seen a team go for it 8 times.
Joey McGuire, I respect that. Why not? You know,
I do too.
And do I think Sark is the guy? I think that staff is capable of doing some special things at Texas. I'll say what I said 2 years ago. They're trying to eliminate some systemic issues within the program. It's not where it's in a better place than it was 2 years ago, but systemically, Texas has gotten in their own way, and it goes beyond the players, beyond the coaches, is within the program. But it's improved leaps and bounds from 2 years ago. That's just,
yeah. Tom Herman. My biggest like praise for Tom Herman was that we never lost by a lot.
No.
If we lost, it didn't matter who we played. We would lose by a little bit. We'd play those tough teams and we'd play them well. I even just thinking back, let's see, it was Charlie Strong when we beat Notre Dame. We played USC in a home and home series and played them really well. We almost beat them when they had Sam Darnold with like a true freshman Sam Ehlinger, I think.
Sam Ehlinger, yeah.
And then we beat them the next year. Mind you, they didn't have Sam Darnold. Tom Herman was a good coach. I still think he's a good coach. But he was, and some people would say we still are with Steve Sarkisian, he was really bad about getting our team ready for teams that are below us.
Playing to the level.
And a lot of people say we are still doing that. And in a way, I can agree. But in a way, I'm going to disagree. I'm going to disagree because of the way we played ULM and UTSA this year. And last year, the way we played the Raging Cajuns and Rice for our non-con games. Because if you think about Tom Herman, what did he do his first game of the career? Dropped a game to Maryland. First game. What did he do the next year? Dropped a game to Maryland. Like those are right. And Maryland now is different than Maryland then. Maryland now has Tua Tagovailoa's little brother. Like this guy can ball. Back then they didn't have that. And so looking at us now, I think Tom Herman was 13-7 through his first 20 games.
Yeah.
And Sark is 10-10. But let's look at what we lost last year. Okay, we lost 7 games. We lost to Arkansas by a lot. We weren't in that game at all. Just Arkansas is an SEC team. Their offensive and defensive linemen probably outweighed our guys by 65 plus pounds. We got pushed up and down the field at will. That game was never a chance. Hudson Card was rattled. And then we ended up going on a 6-game skid consisting of an Oklahoma team that we were winning by 21 in the second quarter. We lost, I don't know them in order, but we lost to Iowa State where we were winning like 7-3 at half. We lost to Baylor with a lead in the fourth quarter. We lost to Oklahoma State. We lost to West Virginia. We lost to Kansas. We ended up somehow beating Kansas State. But all these teams, what is the common theme? We had a lead in the fourth quarter going into this season, except for Iowa State. We were winning 7-3 at half. I think we lost 30-7. Yeah. This year, Bama, we have a lead in the fourth quarter. Can't hold on to it. You know what? They've got a Heisman quarter. Right. They've got a Heisman quarterback. I can't be mad at that. That's what you do. You're a Heisman winner. That's what you do. Yeah. Texas Tech winning 31-17 in the second half, lost. Oklahoma State, same situation, 31-17 in the second half. I will say against Texas Tech, they got lucky. Bijan doesn't fumble.
That surprised me.
And I told everybody on our podcast, I said, if any of y'all hate on Bijan, just take your burnt orange off and throw it away because you are not a fan. If you hate on Bijan, could fumble 7 times next Saturday, and I'm gonna say, nope, that's my guy.
He walked around campus the next couple of days holding the football.
Yeah. I actually got to meet him. Me, my wife, and my dad went to the first game of this season. And we were standing right there as they're walking off Bevo Boulevard into the tunnel. And every player went to the other side. Bijan Robinson was the only player that came to the other side to come see that side of the fans. I got to shake his hand. My wife had a Bijan jersey that we had just got. I'm wearing a Worthy jersey. And in my excitement to shake his hand, I took my Sharpie and put it in my pocket so that I could shake his hand. And he looked at her and looked at the jersey, and he said, that's a nice jersey. And I was like, wait, I've got it. Sign it. It was too late. He was gone. But just real quick on this season, okay, I had us at possibly like best case scenario, I had us at 10-2. Which was a loss to Bama, and I actually had us losing to Oklahoma before I realized how bad their defense was going to be this year.
Their offense.
Right. I had us at base case scenario 10-2, and my most likely was 9-3. So that's still ahead of us. I would consider myself to be a fool if I predicted us to go 9-3, considering we already have 3 losses. We're going to lose one more game. Realistically, we're gonna. If I had to guess, the most likely loss is probably TCU. Even then, I'm still kind of skeptical on them and how their season's going. They've hurt a lot of quarterbacks. They are. I don't know what they're doing. They have hurt. They hurt Kansas State's starter, Adrian Martinez, and their backup. They hurt Dylan Gabriel. They hurt Spencer Sanders. I'm not accusing them of nothing, but they're getting some good breaks in these. I say good breaks. It's not a good break. They're getting breaks in the game. Yeah, I hate seeing players get hurt is kind of one of the. It's a game. I got to remind myself, because it's just a game.
Just a game. But it's not, except on game day.
Yeah, except on game day.
Except on game day.
My day depends on how this game goes sometimes, and that's
your entire weekend can be determined by the outcome of a game.
An entire 2 weeks.
Dude, there's a lady at my church who's a big Longhorn fan, and so every Sunday we either get to have a good conversation or a bad conversation.
Or we don't talk at all.
But yeah, no, we always talk. But good or bad, we always have our conversation.
No, I love that. And that's so funny. Across the state, it's like that. But the thing is, we'll learn a lot about this Texas team in Manhattan. That is a fun place to go as a fan, especially when K-State's good, as they are now. And they're running back from here, Deuce Vaughn. That is super, and their quarterback, the transfer, he's added a new element to that team. And then that coach, what he did at North Dakota State, fantastic. You just unmatched. But we'll learn a lot about what Texas has about them being on the road. Are you going to grow up and really a lot of young kids mature? Mm-hmm. And where are they with Quinn? Can he become comfortable again. Because is it me or did he look just
No,
checked out?
he definitely looked rattled. I would say it's almost comparable to Hudson Card last year against Arkansas, where it's just like something's not.
Terrible.
And you can ask Logan. I was telling him in the third quarter, I was like, we need to put Hudson Card in.
Yep.
Hudson Card has traveled. Like, don't get me wrong, Quinn is my guy. Like, he is. I think I wouldn't say light years ahead of Hudson Card, but he is more talented than Hudson Card. But on a windy day on the road, Oklahoma State's field has it to where their fans are like butted right up next to the bench.
Yeah,
and so it's loud. I was questioning some of the play calls. One big thing for me was looking in that first half. Bijan Robinson had 7.2 yards per carry in the first half, and only got the ball 5 times to start the second half. On our first 4 drives, he touched the ball 5 times. Are you kidding me? What kind of a game plan is this? Bijan, I don't care. Let Bijan throw the ball. I don't care. The dude makes plays. Let Roshan, please. He's a quarterback.
I've been saying that all year.
Oh my gosh. Man.
That guy's a beast, and he's going to play on Sundays for a long time.
For sure.
I hope he goes to the Cowboys or the Saints.
Yes.
That's my hopes.
I'm right there with you. Cowboys are close, guys. That's another podcast.
Yeah.
That's another podcast. Oh my God.
I'm not gonna say anything about the NFL this season.
He's a Broncos fan.
Stop. We don't have to say
Cortland Sutton.
Russell,
I have a Jerry Jeudy
Broncos Nation. Let's ride.
Let's ride.
It's the worst thing ever.
Oh my God. Well, gentlemen, this has been a fun intro. We need to make this.
Yes, sir.
This has been great.
Collaborate more often. You guys literally do a great job on the social media front, and you guys are knowledgeable. I like seeing the younger generation that are obviously everybody's younger than me, but this is fun, and you guys keep doing what you're doing, especially on TikTok. Go follow these boys right here. The Lone Star _ CFP on TikTok. Go check their work out. It's up there with some of the best I've seen as far as TikTok material.
I need to work on some more Texas content for sure.
Yeah,
we actually want to start pushing out more. We've got a lot of Texas and Baylor specifically. We want to branch out more to just other teams,
right?
Especially on TikTok, where it's kind of more shorter clips. Put some clips together, make a video. Want to be able to get everybody in the state of Texas specifically, but in college football as a whole. And yes, even though we talk crap about the Aggies, guys, we'll post some Aggie clips eventually. If y'all ever make a good play, we'll clip it. We'll make a play.
Hey, the Aggies do sell. They have a large fan base, large, not alumni, but former student fan base, if you will.
Yeah.
Don't call them alumni, whatever you do.
Wrong thing. I was trying to look at how this video is doing.
Speaking of TikTok,
well,
yeah, we posted one today. Actually, okay, Aggies, don't go check out our TikTok right now because the last video we posted was about the Aggies and it wasn't. It was their yell practice.
Oh God, I saw it.
And you saw the one we posted?
Yeah, I saw that.
It's doing pretty good right now.
So that right there, people are starting. You mentioned earlier it's a cult. What it is to me, it's not for everybody. Just like every school, you've got to go to school there. You've got to want to really embrace the tradition. I respect the heck out of the fact that they have great tradition.
I respect their fans.
Yes,
they've got some loyal fans.
Yeah, they do. There's a long list of traditions and deeply rooted traditions. Yeah. And unless you really want to embrace that, you're not going to like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. They are definitely 1,000% culture driven, and it's good. I just hate to see it be at A&M. But I mean, I'd love to see it at all kinds of places.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for college football.
I think that's one great thing about college. And if you can have a college that does that, your fan base is going to be amazing. It's going to help your athletics. It's just going to be a good experience. It's going to lead to great campus life.
100% it is. And it's funny, you think back. So I'm going to give you my age. I grew up as a young boy in the 80s. And that's from 85 to 94. A&M was rolling. They had one setback.
Nothing like 1938, though.
But 1939, man, one of the best years ever.
Sorry.
World War II, man. Come on now.
I tried my best.
So, everyone stands up at games now everywhere.
Yep.
But A&M kind of started it. You stand up the whole time. And nobody really understood it. Now everyone stands up at their game. It's crazy how that works.
Yeah, my wife, her sister and brother-in-law both graduated from A&M, and so she's gone to a couple games in Kylefield. And now that we've gotten to go to a couple Longhorn games, she is very adamant about how she likes the Longhorns more, but the atmosphere in Kyle Field is really way more inclusive. The fans are in it more than any other, like not any other school, but definitely over Texas.
Yes.
You want to tell them about the jersey real quick?
The jersey. The
Johnny Manziel jersey.
Yeah. So actually, funny story. So like I said, my wife, her sister and brother-in-law went and graduated there. So she's gone to a bunch of games. When we were like, hey, we're going to get married. Okay. I told her, I said, listen, I'm not just a Longhorn fan. Okay. I'm not one of those casual, oh yeah, I like the Longhorns. Like, I'm a Longhorn fan. I said, that means you can't be an Aggie.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, to be fair, I'm not really an Aggie. Like I've gone to the games. I like them because I've been there. And I was like, well, here's the deal. And you rooted for the Cowboys, so you may not like me for this. She's the Saints fan. And so I told her, I was like, look, the Saints will be my favorite NFL team as long as you quit talking about the Aggies. So that's what we've done. She had a Johnny Manziel jersey, and I was like, you got to I don't know what you're going to do with this. It's got to go somewhere. And so we gave it to my friend's wife. He graduated from A&M. He's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And gave it to his wife. So that's just we had to come to a deal there. Everybody's like, y'all are going to be a house divided. I said, the heck we are. The two have become one. We're going to figure this.
We are both Longhorns.
They're going to become Sam Houston Bearcat fans.
No. We asked them. I told you earlier. She graduated from SFA, so
Axum, baby.
Axum Jacks all the way.
Hey,
I could have been a manager for the basketball team there, dude. I could have done that. I could have if I would have went to SFA, but I didn't. But
you should have done it, man. That was some good times.
It would have been great.
We have a $38 million basketball practice facility now. So
and that's my sport.
Duke paid for some of that, didn't they?
It didn't hurt.
It didn't hurt.
So look at this behind me. That's Homer Bryce Stadium. Well, hell, hold on, right here. In 1995, we put almost 30,000 people in that stadium for one game. It was number one McNeese State, and all on the grass berms, all around it.
Like how Baylor has the berm in front of the school.
Yeah. We were number 3 in the country in FCS. McNeese was number 1. They kicked our ass that day, and we both ended up in the Final Four of the playoffs.
Yeah,
McNeese State, they're not a pushover.
They used to be phenomenal.
So you're a basketball guy too, huh?
To an extent, I love college basketball. I love college basketball, college baseball.
Yeah, y'all gonna have to make some videos when football season's over. I don't do the whole basketball thing. I try to get into baseball.
College baseball is probably my second favorite.
No,
yeah, I want to get into it.
It's so hard to follow.
Oh my
ESPN makes
God.
it so hard to follow.
College baseball is where it's at.
Yeah.
It can be. It's just that there's only a couple of handfuls of Division I programs which truly have good facilities.
Baylor is
Yeah.
not one of them.
Baylor does have a good one. It's a little older.
Yeah, it's old. But
They had
Y'all's
a good
football field, y'all's football stadium looks more new. Like Texas's football stadium from the outside, you're like, this is an old building. Like you can tell, except for the south end zone, I guess. But
see, yeah, we just built McLean a couple of years ago. The first college football game I went to was at the name just slipped my mind. Floyd Casey.
Yeah. Oh no, that was different. That's a different experience.
I went. That was the first.
that's
game I
the
went
name
to.
of the old field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was against
Oh.
West Virginia in, I believe, 2013 or 2014. Whenever we
And
had
you were what, like 7 or 8 in that for that
something
game?
like that. No, no. We blew them out. It was 70 to like 28 something. It was whenever Baylor was scoring like every 4-5 plays.
Yeah.
And then going to McLean now, I've been there twice, and it's crazy. It's fantastic. But speaking of new facilities,
it's a good environment. It's pretty good.
I want to go.
Whenever the
Logan,
fans,
like he was saying
fans
earlier, I've kind of gotten him to be a Longhorn fan. I was impartial about Baylor before we became friends. We've only been friends for a little over a year now, and now I'm like, hey, if Texas ain't gonna win it, might as well be them Bears. Might as well win the Big 12, and I need to go watch a game in McLean.
Man, McLean is beautiful. So actually, speaking on basketball, real quick, this is the last season we will be in the Farrell Center. I didn't think they were gonna. They just broke ground, like put in the first. Still, I can't even think. But anyways, it's crazy how fast they're building that.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen where it's going to be at, and I can't wait for it.
It's going to be nice. Fun. It's the Big 12 is going to be good after Texas, Oklahoma. It's going to be a lot different.
Yeah,
they all have facilities, and wow, man, let's keep communicating. Let's have more of these episodes, and
this is great.
Looking forward to jumping on with you guys on your platform.
Oh yeah.
Just let us know. Are we? Yeah. We'll figure all that out. We gotta get that together.
Later.
Yeah.
Hey, much appreciation, much love, and to the OG Man Cave boys, that being Big Mike, Hardball Harge, and Coach Mo. We are out.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up.
Right.
I have no idea why that was running so slowly.